Well, hello everyone again. It's a wonderful and great honor for me to welcome my very good friend, someone I call my mentor, and I still call him Governor, Mr. Venu Reddy, who is the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India. My background is also a central banker. And as you know, when you're governor of the Reserve Bank of India, you are the governor of managing the monetary policy and the reserves of 1.3 billion people. That's 1/5 of mankind. Dr. Reddy is one of the wisest persons I know. He has a reputation of saving India from the global financial crisis. He has written numerous books on monetary policy, economic policy, and also his latest book is on Indian fiscal federalism, published by Oxford University Press. I'm so honored to get this. Now, Dr. Reddy, as former also, after leaving the central bank, you ran the finance commission in India, and then of course now honorary professor at the University of Hyderabad. So what, the Georgetown Institute of Open and Advanced Studies is very honored to have you as a member of this international advisory board. I would like to ask you to say a few words about how you, as from a central banking perspective, see education in this very new disrupted age.
Well, thank you very much. Actually, I have great admiration and affection for you, as you know, and I won't say anything more than that. It's a privilege to have known you, and now it's also a bit of an education, interacting with you in various fora. To be very frank, I feel that the change is going to be a lot more rapid than whatever we imagine. Compared to what we imagined the world to be 20 years back, now the world is so different. But then the change is going to be far more rapid, far more uncertainties introduced. So therefore, the university educational system also has to cope with that. Traditionally, I think the universities were producing basic skills and then leaving the students to manage the rest of their careers and learning something on the way as they require a particular job. In a way, the Open University, when it started as a sort of a parallel institution. And it served the purpose of those who didn't have advantage and other access. Now perhaps the Open University will have to redefine and in addition take over the responsibility of continuing education to cope with the changing realities. So more on the applied side and more on multidisciplinary side, because when you are in the organization, then the way you have to handle things is a little more different from theory. And so this sort of reorientation, I believe, is important. Because basic knowledge, as you say, in the digital age, you'll be able to access it through the YouTube or open access. In a way, therefore, it is the applications, actual applications and the complexities in actual conduct of things that would be more relevant. So I think Open University will be little more than the traditional university, rather than just a supplement. And it has to reorient itself to play an active role in enabling working people to cope with the skills necessary for a fast changing world. Let me put it that way.
And from your perspective as a central banker, given that monetary policy has changed very dramatically after the last financial crisis, how should we prepare our students and in this new area of very different monetary environment compared to before?
I think let me put it this way. Monetary policy has two components. One is forecasting, second is policy making. I think in this type of situation, it has to be more of a science. Forecasting has to be done more carefully. At the same time, it has to be more of an art because of the increasing uncertainties. I think for good education, so far the emphasis has been emphasis has been on the science of monetary policy.
Right.
There is very little literature on the art of monetary policy. So when you are taking decisions, it is the art, you are making judgments. And therefore, I think if I were to say what should be the unique part of the syllabus, we should say that what is the art part of the monetary policy? What are the judgments made? Why and how those judgments were made? What went on in the minds of people? In that situation, what happens is the interactive nature. Normally, very often in our traditional analysis, you take a decision, you expect somebody to comply or not comply. No, you take a decision, somebody else tries to optimize his requirement, namely making profits out of the decision. Whether it's complying or not complying is a secondary matter. So I think this I would say is an illustration of the orientation of the literature from Open University.
Right. I think you're absolutely right. A lot of our students, including existing central bankers, like to see everything in a nice, neat model with a simple answer. That quantitatively, if you want to do it this way, that's the way it should be done, without seriously thinking through the uncertainties and the probabilities and the unintended consequences and the context. All these are actually an art rather than a science. And
I think one should be aware of the logic, of the inherent logic, and over and above that, should be aware of the context. So I think the contextualizing the theory. In the absence of theory, they are not even facts. In a way, even when you look for the facts, there is some theory in your mind. There is no doubt about that. But I think these are the complexities of converting theory into action.
Which is very difficult.
It's difficult to get the literature,
right.
But I think that's what is required in future. Because then you should be able to cope with change.
Right. But the problem at the moment is that a lot of the theories have been found to be wanting in this very fast-changing environment, right? Because they reduce in order to deal with uncertainty. Very often they assume away the uncertainty. How would you advise us to deal with this?
I think in the case of monetary policy, the simple rule that the Tinbergen rule that you have one instrument, one objective.
Right.
It was pretty simplistic, because any action by the Reserve Bank of India, by a central bank, has fiscal implications.
That's right.
Has regulatory implications. How do you put it? So in a way, therefore, that will be a starting point. As a theoretical proposition, that's a starting point. That warrants independence. But to the extent its decisions impact the other policies, fiscal and regulatory policies, to the extent the other policies impact, there is an interdependence. So how do you balance? So having started with the theory, you should make provision for recognizing the interdependence. So I would call it contextualizing the theory.
That's right.
So because if you replace one rigid theory with another rigid theory, then you will face the same problem.
That's absolutely right.
So therefore, you recognize a theory which has reasonable, plausible, universal application, but then probe and examine the interdependencies and then feed it in. That makes the study more complex but more realistic.
Right. So what you remind me of, that you're very unusual for a central banker. Because in the West, a lot of the recent central bankers in the West have been economists and then became, whereas you have had a wonderful fiscal background. You worked at the state level. You worked as Secretary of Finance, right, at the state level and then at the national level, and then you chaired the Finance Commission, which means that you understood that monetary policy cannot be independent of fiscal policy.
Right. And regulation also.
That's right. So and regulation, true. So and in fact, fiscal policy is much more complicated because it's very politically driven, right? Whereas monetary policy pretends or thinks that it's not completely politics, but it also has political implications, and so is regulation. So it is much more interdependent and interrelated than most people realize.
In fact, there again, you are right at the first level of generalization. But the second level is, to the extent monetary policy is trying to, it has to, in the interest of stability, it has to take on board fiscal policy is given.
Mm.
So once the fiscal policy is given, then the monetary policy tries to do something else. So in a way, therefore, the interest rate is also in some ways an aggregation of the interests.
Very true. You mean vested interests?
All interests.
All interests.
All interests. So there are always gainers and losers.
That's right.
So to imagine that there are no gainers or losers because in the interest rate movement you are only targeting price stability is not correct, because there is a trade-off between the present and the future. There is a trade-off between development and stability. Development has disruption to some extent, and stability has an element of no change.
Right.
So development and stability cannot be diverse. But we can start either in development or in stability. But recognize that we have to move from the basic proposition. So that is the way. So the interest and interest rate policies should be one of the things that we should.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now I cannot resist. This is very critical. You've written about development, and you're working from India, and you work at the grassroots level of development. There is this dilemma of, do we have growth without development, or can we have development without growth? So I would like you to comment on this dilemma.
Again, measurement, in the early stages, or at least till recently, what you measured growth in terms of what you could measure. You looked at growth at what you could measure, and the measurement was GDP. You need to recognize, because if you want to plan, if you want to intervene, you intervene only on the basis of the data, and therefore only the measurables were taken into account, and we ended up in this type of but you cannot escape the fact that if you are intervening, then there should be some sort of a measurement. So I would say that you take the measurement, but then you should say that why you are deviating from the measurement. So one should recognize that we do not have a ready-made solution, a ready-made way of differentiating between growth and development. Let me give you an example in the context of education, for instance. We in India started a large number of engineering colleges by the provincial government, state governments. The standards fell down. They couldn't even get good faculty. And a lot of engineers, unemployable, were produced. They said it's such a bad thing. But then it was realized after about 10 years, and particularly my state is one of the leading states in this area, southern states, Karnataka. These people were actually those who could not have got into engineering colleges. They came from social background where the education started later. They could pick up their abilities later. And though they became engineers of a second grade, over the period they were mature enough to improve their skills. And the expenditure on each student was 1/50th or 1/70th So with the result, even if 2 out of the 70 were of the standard engineering college, then you had a payoff. These dynamics which the standard educational experts could not visualize was visualized by the popular pressure. The pressure for more and more engineering colleges. And this is a new dynamic. So I think we have to see what is known as the impact, overall impact on the motivations.
Right. Right. So actually, human beings, are not robots. They, it's not just put one input in and we get an output out.
Yeah.
Actually, in fact, if they are motivated,
Yeah.
the output is far
Yes.
larger.
Yes.
The effect is far larger. You can get bigger bang for the buck, right? And which is what you're saying. So development is not just simple arithmetic of growth, but actually it's much more complex than that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Good. Well, Venu Reddy, thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
These are very wise words. Great start for our discussion. And we look forward to long and continuing discussions on these very, very important topics.
Thank you. In fact, you have triggered, you have provoked some thinking on this subject. I never thought about this before. Now that you have asked, I should start thinking seriously.
Well, as you know, I think this is a divergence, but we're going to have a long conversation on how do we apply quantum theory, because actually, quantum theory, which is very weird, the fact that light can be both a wave and a particle, is actually more natural and more reflective than reductionist linear and logical thinking. And this is an area that I think that, for example, when we deal with quantitative easing, which is costless production of money, what are its full implications? We have not understood this. So there are many things that we can talk about over the days to come.
In fact, when you sent some literature on this, I tried to ask some people what they thought. And one interesting reaction was, yes, if you want to understand more of this phenomena, you should study Advaita philosophy. So I must now go back and read Advaita philosophy. Advaita is not duality.
Right.
So even man and woman, it's not dual. There is an element of man, there is an element of woman, there is universal soul, individual soul. So this is these are the abstractions of Advaita philosophy.
That's exactly why I think the mixture of East and West perspectives would actually bring out a much better, much more original and new way of dealing with global issues.
Yes, I think there should be more interaction, but hopefully diversity will continue.
That's absolutely right.
Rather than trying to arrive at universal truths of the whole world. That's too risky.
Oh, there can be no universal.
That's too risky.
It's absolutely right. Thank you very much, Venu Reddy. Thank you.